Hey. Sorry. What? How you going? Hi. Can you hear me? I don't have you though. No, I don't have you. Not yet. Think my volume. Yeah, I should have you.
Okay, so it's
there
on
you go.
my
Now I got
headset,
it.
not on my headset.
I have you now.
I know you hear me now. Let's see if I can get my headset back on.
Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. We got this. So let's see who's the HETMA moderator for you. That is 10. No, that's Troy is moderating you. So when he hops in, I will make him.
How about now? There we go, right?
Yeah, I got you.
That's what happens when you switch from Zoom to Discord to Teams to Zoom.
That's my computer hates anytime I go to from Teams.
Yeah,
it's okay going to from Zoom or whatever and then into Teams, but once I go out of Teams to anything else, it just, I don't know, everything's screwed up. Screens get screwed up. Sharing screens, I'll start sharing it I almost have to just restart my computer and let it go back to its normal default.
yeah. Oftentimes when I'm dealing with that, I switch to my phone for Teams and then leave the Zoom connected.
Yeah.
I also complicated a little bit more because I also have 2 computers hooked up to this headset. So that's even more complicated.
I think you can have multiple in the same headset.
Yeah, so it's a so one's a USB, so it gives me 2.4 wireless, and then the other one's Bluetooth the other direction.
Oh,
so
nice. That's
yeah,
cool.
It comes in handy when you're bouncing between computers in your office trying to do multiple things, because the work laptop only does so much and you need a little bit more juice.
Yeah. All right, here. I'm gonna go tell the other room to go on. 1 sec.
Hey,
Hey,
Garrett.
Troy. How's it going?
Not bad.
Yeah.
I'm the host now.
Troy, you don't have power.
Well, I got it.
I figured I'd run this one like Joe. I was just shooting from the hip. No.
Is there anybody else? Oh, here, I'm gonna just make you a co-host too, actually. I don't know why I didn't just do that.
Yeah, I actually, when I was looking at the I almost, and I mean almost messed up the date.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm talking on Friday. Yeah, I'm good, no problem. Then I looked at the date. I was like, oh no. He said Thursday. So
Yeah, scheduling these are it's a lot.
yeah. Well, did the 5:30 in the morning workout. So I'm really sore and tired. So it hurts so bad.
Is there anybody else you want me to spotlight or anything? Or make co-host or anything? Or are you just presenting alone?
I can present alone. I don't think
Cool.
anybody else is coming in. I it's gonna keep this pretty. I mean, I don't prescribe to PowerPoints, but there's the only way to show pictures.
Yeah.
And in this particular space, it seems like you kind of need pictures for certain things.
Right.
So I look at this presentation or this as Q-SYS and exhibition spaces, because it's not just like I said, it's outside of classrooms, right? So places that are outside of classrooms that a lot of people don't think about. So I do have some pictures.
All right.
Let's see if I can play with this. Hey, this thing works. Wow. All right. So
Here, you know what? Let me be a good moderator and just say, this is Garrett Oliver from QSC, and just welcome everybody, and we're gonna get started. We've already gotten started, really, so should have done that a minute ago. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. I will give everyone a little bit of background of who I am. Garrett Oliver from Q-SYS, QSC. I've been in the industry, in the AV industry for coming up on almost 25 years now. Advanced visualization, doing stuff for Boeing control centers, 3D before 3D was 3D. Worked for Christie Digital several years, worked at USC in the film school doing what you guys do for several years. And then over to QSC in the cinema department. Now is kind of a cinema and systems merged. Did that for a couple of years, and then now I am the regional business development manager for Q-SYS, focusing on education and government, which means I talk to you guys directly. I help you guys solve problems in places that you may not even know that you need to solve problems in. So what I have up on the board is basically kind of all the places that we play in. And I've personally, coming from the cinema side of things, traditional cinema is just a theater, right? And it's all becoming entertainment spaces now. You can't survive without being able to do multiple things. So one of the things that made a simple jump for me from cinema to education to biz dev for education is that basically on a college campus, everything in our portfolio is used on a college campus somewhere, live, stadiums, cinemas, classrooms, it's all there. One of the things that I have been asked multiple times is about, I want to do a presentation space, I want to do cinema, and I don't know what I'm doing. I got an idea. I just wanted to do 7.1, or I wanted to do Atmos, and a lot of people don't know the difference between the two. And there's a huge difference between commercial Atmos and consumer Atmos. And there's a difference between HDMI cinema and DCI cinema. Those are huge differences. In most universities, you'll find that you have a lot of AV projectors, but then you've done all this work to do a nice theater room, and then go, oh, we want to play DCPs now, and find that they have to pull everything out and put a DCI compliant projector and things like that. So I see a couple people on the group that have that know well cinema side of things, and bitstream decodes and Atmos and mixing stages and post-production and virtual reality, production. We fall under, Q-SYS falls under a category that falls under, say, think more exhibition. We are not playing in the studio production realm, but we can spend a lot of time moving things around your campus. So I've found that that's been helpful. I've played around with USC's gear before I came to Q-SYS, so I know some of their problems, and I know some of their solutions, and it seems to me like it's that way with a lot of universities. One of the things that I want to show is looking at the classrooms, or looking at your campus as not just the classrooms. These are the spaces that would be outside of your classrooms. Like think of a student union building, an auditorium, common space, meeting rooms, bookstores, cafes. This is the same philosophy we took with our cinemas. You'd have your auditoriums, your lobby, your bar, your bowling alley, the arcades. It's all that that same general solution. Looking in a cinema space for education, you're looking at some place that's going to be a place you can play DCI compliant content, but still be able to teach class, oftentimes a film class, but maybe it's just a lecture auditorium. The best way to make these spaces is to design the spaces as DCI first and work your way backwards. That is a huge thing. There's tons of paperwork on what a DCI compliant system looks like, how to make it work. SMPTE has some documentation. It's basically on the design, and the server is really the key. The projectors that you have on DCI don't give you the ability to fix keystoning. It just is, because the studios don't want you to mess with their final product. The other piece that I have found, and I've run into in a lot of universities, is speaker placement. I found that oftentimes you have a space, and I think you guys have all dealt with this. Architects have designed the building. You have to put AV in the building, and how many times have you bumped heads on that? In cinema, it's even more important. They're like, well, I want a light here, but you need a speaker there. Who wins the battle? If you want DCI, it's going to have to be it's going to have to be you in this scenario. There's many of you with sound. I've found some speakers too far away from the screen. You get rollback. It ends up being very drummy and muddled in the back. So that kind of space is a thought process. We have documentation that'll help with that. We also work, one of my favorite spaces is the post-production space, which is from a lot of film schools. Stop moving. Is for a lot of spaces. This is a sample solution. It has some older gear on it, but the speaker package is completely separate from your post-production package, right? That section oftentimes is now run by Dante. It's nice space to, it's a nice way to get audio in. Theoretically, if you are using a Q-SYS system in a centralized or a hybrid solution, you could in each room just have a amplifier and some speakers to do your room. You wouldn't need a core in all those rooms. I'm a hardware person. I'm from cinema, so you have everyone's more of a, I need something in each room, and then I need a backup for each of that backup, and then a backup for that backup to make sure that everything works. So I understand the non-centralized solution, but I have done a 10-plex, 9-plex on a single core, and then one Atmos room, which was really nice. There's some pluses and minuses that go with that, just because it's the nature of all things. I also work in spaces and have worked with spaces for VR. So it's a picture of what we're calling the social mirror. We're utilizing some of our equipment to interact with people inside VR. And so you're talking to someone in VR and they're talking back to you in the real world, and you can have a two-way communication, kind of a way to do some extra teaching. They've been playing around with that, and I love the labs. Lab spaces are more fun than classrooms because you can try things that don't really exist, and they don't always have to be spot on. It's a learning curve, and you get to try to push things to the limit. And then also in some places we have some stadiums that we run the backbone for our DSP control. And my understanding, I might be a little biased, but you know, we do have great DSP. This is what it is. Yeah, it's we are in a few stadiums. We're picking up a few more, and there are, most of our integration is through the DSP side for stadiums. For the VR space, it's HDMI. We do not do SDI, but we are able to send our HDMI over IP. Really nice. Those are some quick pictures. I try to throw it out really fast because I want to leave it open for people who might have some questions about, hey, what kind of, I have this space, I'm thinking about doing this, and maybe help some problem solving for you guys. Wow, that's a lot of talking really fast. Is that helpful? Let's see if I can, where am I? My page. Uh-oh, all I have is a giant page. Oh wait, I know why. There we go. Stop share. I closed it up and didn't stop sharing. I could call a couple people out because I've been to a couple spaces. There's one right in the middle of my screen that I walked their space down in Arizona recently, and was very impressed with the new building. And I think they're doing some Atmos stuff in there, some screening rooms and whatnot. I'm still working with USC. I see Chi on there as well. Hey Chi. Hey Sean. And I believe I've been trying to get over there with Craig, but you know, it's been up and down. Our solutions are like I said, if we think exhibition, that's where we are. Those are the spaces that we can provide. I am a distributed type of person with a hybrid centralized control solution. That's kind of what the direction that I lean for. We have been looking into some esports, but when people think esports, they're thinking that what we have is what the students or the performers will be playing on, and that's not the case. It's the opposite. It's what they're doing is on their computer, their speeds, their refresh rates have to be super fast. The trickiest part is the latency between what they're doing and the exhibition that's on the big screen behind them, and trying to convince them not to cheer or be excited about their whatever they did too soon. There are properties there are products out there that can limit that latency, but that is our constant battle, right? And then recently there has been more so, it's going to be more so in your spaces because of the price tag of the walls, but direct view cinemas, there are a couple of solutions out in the market from different audio providers. I think the best solution on the market is probably Meyer. If you can afford Meyer, by all means, it's a good solution. I have not seen it on a large screen yet. And I mean on a 14-meter screen, 65-foot room. I have not seen it yet. I've seen the audio bounce, and I've recently done locally here a 65-foot room, 7.1, 14-meter screen solution that's been signed off by the studios, Universal, Paramount, Disney, and I think there was one more that came through. They're happy with the solution, in the process of putting that white paper together for you guys to be able to see it. It's a good solution. The tricky part with that is obviously no perf screen. So how do you get the sounds right in the center of the screen, right? Our solution is a top bottom solution, left center right on the bottom, and we use Q-SYS to bring that into the center. There's going to be a slight difference in audio sound, which is with a point source traditional cinema, it's 5/8 up, the positioning is 5/8 up the screen, and it's very localized to that position. What you'll find with a direct view is that instead of it being localized right in the center space, that localization will be just a little bit bigger. So it's a bigger sound. So it actually is the whole screen or the center of the screen. And that's the nature of that, the sound. So it's slightly different, but it's been approved by the studios. They are happy with the solution. I will say there was a sound editor, a very well-known sound editor that came in, listened to the room, walked the room, and the complaints that he had about the system was the room, not the system. Right, so the sounds bouncing off the audio, the HVAC in the corner over here, the hollowness of this, and things like that. So you'll find that those types of he said that this is as good as this room will get, period. And he was happy with the sound, with what we provided for him. So for those looking into those direct view options, we have a solution. It just takes a little bit of extra planning and some forethought before you throw stuff together. Mostly like, I guess, like the way you guys should be doing anyway, is planning a little bit of a roadmap of where we think we might want to go and where we're planning on going. There will be some announcements in April that are that will lend to that as well, to lend to some of our solutions for exhibition. Hey, Jimmy, how's it going?
Garrett, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
I had a quick question kind of about, I guess, the trends you're seeing with cinema-based rooms and stuff like that. You know, is it where you're seeing it, you know, primarily specialty schools like USC is one, right? That has a massive school of film. You know, is it only in those spaces, or are you seeing people use kind of cinema rooms for other purposes besides film programs?
I'm seeing rooms that I'm seeing the trend that people want to play more DCI content now, right? They want to do that. And if they're starting from scratch, they will do the DCI stuff and then go, okay, now I can play this video, I can play this, I can show my esports content while they're gaming. I can do my lectures from that, because you can always go down, right? Like USC, right? So Norris's theater is a full DCI compliant room, but they teach classes in there, and they run PowerPoints all the time, right? I think Leonard Malton teaches a class in there on Thursdays. So yeah, the trying to get your projectors is, yeah, I mean, it's supply chain, man. I mean, we've all been there. We've all been hit with that. I can't decide. They're announcing the NV endpoints something's comp that forecasting is April. I think they're going to be talking about that stuff. I'm embargoed on certain things. But I am seeing more schools that are putting in these spaces that are where they want to also play movies, and some of them are DCI and some of them are like, we're not going to get first run movies anyway, because there's a cost that comes with that people don't think about. You know, like in commercial, an Atmos license is a $10,000 license, right? Then you got to pay the studios for your first run movies. Then you have to, like, all of that is a cost that once the schools find out that they have to pay that cost, go, can we just play HDMI Atmos? Is that doable? Right.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the question, was like, if you're going to pay for all of this, obviously you want as many people to use it as possible, but you also don't want, like, I want to bring in my DVD of, whatever documentary from 2002 to play in this Dolby Atmos theater, and it doesn't really make sense for it. But how much are schools limiting, what can go in there versus also getting their money's worth? So Sean, I'd be interested in kind of your experience on campus and how you limit versus make it available.
Well, we have some temporary projectors in there now because we're waiting for our full DCI offering. So we're we have two large theater spaces that are designed for Atmos. They have a full Meyer rigs for the full commercial Atmos cert is what they're going for. So we have mixing consoles and everything in there, so they can master in Atmos and then also rent the spaces for full production. Two people outside want to come in and show full DCI Atmos, and then the program can do whatever else they want to do in those spaces.
Got it. Okay, so it could be used as almost like a money-making type of opportunity too, to rent out as a space.
That is the view. So it's kind of funny because they've been doing movie theater. They've been using them for theaters. We have a full they were doing a candlelight orchestra in there
right.
in the last week,
Got it.
Yeah, it used to be the systems back in the day with cinema. You didn't want to play anything but cinema content because it was going to blow the speakers. Those days are long gone. So you are seeing people doing concerts, streaming concerts through those spaces as well.
Right.
It just depends on how you want to do it, and the universities decide whether they want to rent it out. If you think about a LucasArts Skywalker Ranch, right? Large studio, they make their money on renting that space out. It has to do everything, right? So it has to have 96K, it has to have analog, it has to have digital, it has to have, transport. They got to do it all, but they rent it out, and that's where the money is.
Yeah. My only advice, if anyone's designing one of those spaces, is to do a complete trough on the sides for your surround speakers, and not try to do niches for speakers. We ran into later complications with speaker sizing, or you got Dolby Atmos spec, which may or may not change, and you may or may not have to upsize your speakers to to meet whatever spec that comes out that you have to meet.
Yes,
So hindsight being what it is, I would definitely recommend just having a nice wide open trough that you can cover with a nice scrim, and you can put however many speakers you need to behind that thing.
Or you could just call me first, and I can tell you don't do that.
Well, no, but
No,
we
have
have
to
full
plan.
consultant
Yeah.
on the.
Yeah.
I mean, we planned it out, but then
Yeah.
your overall speaker size may change from a manufacturer based on what
Yep.
you've identified. There's just a lot that you can run into over a construction project where you look at it and say, "Oh man, it would have been easier if we just did this whole thing."
And Dolby is they are super sticklers.
They are.
If your Dart, which is their Excel sheet that they use, does not match your architectural plans to the T, they will come back and say, no, that doesn't work. And then the other thing is there's a exhibition Atmos, and then there's a mixing room Atmos requirement that's completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't know that.
Right. So if you go just what Meyer recommends or what the speaker manufacturer recommends, you may wind up at the end, which is what we were kind of negotiating with, make the upsize some speakers based on, we want that full cinema cert versus an educational cert for Atmos.
Yep. Yeah. So there is a difference. You need to know that. You need to ask that question. And then what you'll find in most universities, most campuses, is going to be consumer Atmos. Right, they just want to be able to play consumer Atmos back. That's probably a third of the price, maybe even a quarter of the price of a commercial Atmos install. So, and you don't need Dolby's blessing on that, to be honest. So that's a huge thing as well. I saw this display things. Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. For some of you, let's see, in our sphere, there was a big hit with the 510 being end of life, with the card cages because of large channel analog I/O. Just a heads up, there are some. That end of life was because of a part on the 510. However, but they got enough for about 1,500 of those units. If you guys need them, please put in your orders and go get them, because probably the content creators are going to snatch them up, to be honest. That's a huge thing that I found out about. I was like, oh sweet, did you tell everybody? And they're like, no, we didn't tell everybody. So I know some of you would need that because of the analog cards and the Dante cards and whatnot. What else? Oh, there was How many of you guys are using or considering converting some of your spaces into I'll call them viewing rooms, right? They're not cinemas, they're viewing rooms, right? So you're looking at probably a classroom, probably 60 people, maybe 70 people or so. Greg, I see your hand up.
Yeah, we're working on one right now. It's just that, it's a preview room for film studies type thing. So I'm going to be following up with you because I like what I'm hearing. And this is one that we won't be able to do a perf screen in. And so I like a lot of what I'm hearing here. So we'll follow up.
Yeah. One of the things that you in those spaces, so I don't know how familiar everyone is with bitstream decode and PCM audio. Some people are, some people aren't familiar with it. I know that there's been the conversation that Blu-rays are going to be leaving the rooms. We're not going to put Blu-rays because everybody can do YouTube. And so there was a misconception regarding our product, our NV32, because it only does PCM. It does 8 channels of PCM, right? It does not decode bitstream audio, right? But if you have a 5.1 room, all Blu-ray players have to decode 5.1 anyway. So that's not an issue. You don't need an extra box. It's only when you start getting into the 7.1s, you need something to decode that extra 7.1. I've had to redesign a few rooms because they thought they had to put we have a product called a DCI-OH, which is for digital cinema IO, and is designed just for cinema. It has an HDMI, it pulls 7.1 audio out and decodes it. If you're doing a product like that, you need to go to that product before you go to the NV32. There are some transmitters that will pass on the bit stream. Our current NV solution breaks the bit stream. I know there have been talks about the next generation of NV not breaking the bit stream, but I can't speak on it because I haven't tested it yet. I have a DCIO here at the house. I have a couple of NVs at the house. My house is a lab, despite the fact my wife doesn't like it. It's a great lab. I've played around with the audio. I've played around with the video. I've run my Xbox through it. I've run my PC through it. As long as the 8 channels are decoded before it hits the NV, I haven't had a problem with anything. When it came out, I know there's now HDR. There still isn't a set standard for HDR. Like TVs have different versions. Oh, it's HDR 10, it's HDR this. We're kind of in that pre-Blu-ray UHD era for HDR, like trying to figure out who's going to win that battle. So that the 8 channels is all you need. If you're doing home Atmos, you need 16 channel decode, right? So something to take that HDMI, break out the 16 channels, because there's 2 standards on the content creator side, right? So one's the 7.1.4, and then there's a 9.1.6. Currently, the standard for the content creators are the 7.1.4, which is a 7.1 with 4 singles above your head. They're moving to a 9.1.6, where the first arch, the left wide, right wide, and the left top, front top would be your extra speakers to make it 9. And the bass management in home Atmos is not there. It's not a separate channel because it's full range from what I've been been getting in our system. And then it doesn't matter to us. We just base manage it out. From a QSYS standpoint, we would just base manage it out, run it to a sub, and it's still part of this, that we'd create our own channel for that. But that's much easier. So you've got your left, center, right, and you have 3 channels. You got your left side, your right side, left rear, right rear, and then speakers above, depending on how many you have. And that's your 7.1.4. Can do that with our ADS speakers. You can do that with all the way up to our reference speakers. Doing any ambisonics dome spaces with QSC. There are some dome type installations with Q-SYS that have been in the works and almost released. We have been doing some glam spaces, some gallery spaces with Q-SYS. We do have a block in Q-SYS that is actually the old DTSX block, right? So it's for immersive. It can only play non-encrypted content, so it could work it actually does work in those spaces. We've used it in a few museums. So yeah. I'm sure they'll have, I know the big sphere in Vegas is Q-SYS backed. So I know the guys working on that. It also, I'm trying to remember, what is it? Yeah, there was something else that we were working on. I think it's SMPTE 2110 set up in there. On a beta code, I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thanks. I'm told we have one on campus. I have not seen it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
we're building another one, apparently a small one. But
we get, this is the thing, like there'll be things that have been on campuses, and that's the best part about education. It'll be something that got put in before, and then like, oh, we want to recreate that, but that equipment doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, oftentimes we get asked those questions, and sometimes they come to me now, like early, and then sometimes they come to me after they've bought all the stuff and said, we need to make this work, and it's too late, right?
Yeah, we're putting together spec right now, and like a small space, and he said, oh yeah, we have a 30-foot one over in our space right now. We barely need anything. He said we need a few drops, and it's like, what do you need? Oh, I need 25 network drops in the ceiling and 25 along the walls. I'm like, well, that's a lot of drops. So
yeah, it's I mean,
the whole switch.
It's a whole switch. I mean, everything's switch based now. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it would be nice if you had a network systems guy who was an AV guy. That would make your life so much easier, because then they would understand multicast traffic and not. And
it's me, kind of, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. It's piece of cake. It's easy. For some of you that do music and front of house stuff, we've been talking about this for years. 96K, where it has gained immense traction in our software designers. So I'm still banging the drums. But so are all the content creators as well. So that's why I think that's why we're gaining some traction as well, because it's not just education. It's also your studios, but also your gaming even though everybody does, the exhibition is all 48, a lot of the content creation is done in 96. It's so they can adjust and play with the audio, like even in game dev, on the game dev side, they'll play with a 96K sound so that when it comes out 48, it's a little bit weirder, which is kind of interesting. I got a lot of friends in game dev, game producers and designers and sound guys, and they're like, yeah, it's all 96, and then we kick it out 48. So we can get Q-SYS in the middle of that. We'll be happy. You know, I would love to sell you, give you my stuff, but you know, if it's not right, it's not right. I'd love to. I walked your building, Sean. I walked the building. I would love to get in there and listen to it one day.
Well, as soon as we get the yeah, we'll definitely have you out. Maybe when we're doing the Dolby Cert, we'll have you come out and maybe you can help some shortcuts on that. As soon as those projectors get in, because they're waiting to do the full. They're waiting to do the full Dolby Cert, all that work, until they can do the full DCI cert.
Yeah. How many are you guys familiar with what it takes to calibrate a system for DCI cinema? Out of curiosity. So it's not live. You can't just throw one mic in the room and make a flat response all the way out to 20K. You're going to need a smart system or a D2 kit, multiplexer, at least 4 mics. And in cinema, there is a curve, an X curve. There's a near field, a far field X curve, but there's a standard X curve that you're aiming for. It rolls off drastically at about 10K. And you're going to need someone who knows how to run one of those machines. You don't need to have one on campus. I think SC's film school has 2 D2s and a smart rig. They don't really need it. If you're running first run movies from studios, when the studios are going to do a screening there, they'll bring somebody in themselves anyway. They usually do. And that is something that you just need to be able to, they just need to be able to access the EQ space. What I've done for a lot of the cinemas is do an EQ curve, have it all set, and then have a snapshot that always resets it back to that point, and then leave a completely separate screening EQ block that allows the people coming in, the visitors to come in, do their work, and then you can just blank out that block and do an A/B side by side. Studios are very particular, and I mean very particular about how their movie is presented. And it's even if you went in, tuned the system the day before or the day of, they'll still send someone in to do the exact same thing. So that's an important piece. I think the biggest thing, if you're going to do a DCI space, you have to talk to a cinema installer at some point in time, someone who is familiar with building a cinema. Some of the gotchas that I've seen is an AV company built a cinema, built the frame for the screen, and the bar that's holding the screen up has a speaker right behind the bar, which made no sense. I also found that then there was another place that had 2 subwoofers aimed at a drywall, and it was below the screen like it was supposed to be, but it was off the ground, and then they separated the subs. It made that whole back section just a giant drum. They didn't talk to a cinema person. well, that's the one that's true. They did talk to a cinema person, they just didn't listen. Because the architect knew better. And that's a thing for cinema. What else? There's another piece. The direct views. I wanted to go back to the direct views because there are quite a few companies that are playing in the direct view space. It is okay to do a direct view that's not DCI compliant if you're not running DCI content. But my understanding is there's only one server that is signed off on DCI for a DCI screen. I think Dolby's is the only one that's been certified on that because it has to mimic a projector, and there's a security. So there's some security that goes with it. You can't run your server from the server to a patch bay to the projector. That is not an option. I found someone who was designing a room like that and didn't know that. And the server thinks that someone's hijacking the signal, and it will not send any video. Might send audio. You might get a soundtrack, but you won't get any video. So the whole thing with DCI is the security of the movie, which is from a industry standpoint comedic, because by the time it gets to the theater, no one's pirating. No one can pirate that stuff. All the pirate stuff happens at the post-production facility. So I never understood it. And I've been doing this for, like I said, 20 years. Makes no sense. But you know, that is what it's the studios. They made this standard, this DCI standard. Yeah, I mean, oh. We've been going back and forth with live spaces, active line arrays, things like that, you know, exhibition halls, places where you can perform, things like that. That's where I think the conversation with the 96 and 48 tie-in are there. We have some things that are launching for those spaces. So remember when I said everything in our catalog is used on college campus? That means everything on Q-SYS and everything on QSC is on your campus at some place. You know, K2s, and, you know, CP8s and touch mixes. They're not part of the Q-SYS portfolio, but they are part of the one QSC portfolio. I have gotten quite a few people that they want a touch mix. I'm like, okay, well, that's cool, but you already have a Q-SYS core. You don't need another mixer on top of the mixer that's already in the core. It is its own mixer. I can give you the most egregious, well, one of the most egregious waste of power for a core, and it's in a theater as a notchback filter for microphones, and that's all it does. That's being fed from a Mackie mixer. So that was what it was, and it's a Core 110 at that. So it's a Core 110 as a notchback filter. Way too much power to be used as a notchback filter, but when we put it in, we didn't know any better. This is over at USC. That's before I knew what a core could actually do. And then I figured it out, and we can do it. I'm currently working on a couple of designs for a core between two auditoriums for a cinema, for a school. for classrooms that have to present 5.1 content. If you have a core in a space that is just control, like it's just doing the control and DSP for all of your spaces, like I say, just put an amplifier in that room and some speakers, and you don't need a core in there. You're running, you can run 4 or 5 classrooms like that. Heck, there's a school that runs 1 core for, I think there's 6 classrooms in DSP. So, you know, when you got 300 plus classrooms that you have to integrate, plus you got to do video, sometimes centralized helps. The only thing I don't like about centralized, it's the only thing I don't like about it, is that if I want to make an update to 1 classroom or 1 auditorium, I've got to bring them all down. So when we did the theater, that was a 10-plex. Usually you don't have to make changes to a cinema, but if I needed to, I had to bring the whole system down. But it does work. It does work well on, well, at the time it was 510, so it was a dual core, dual network redundancy. Now a 610 and a 610 just got way more power than the 510 did. It just doesn't have the cards, but man, that thing's a beast. For university level DSP, having a combination of hybrid, distributed type of scenario, distributed and endpoints, you kind of can pick and choose, you know. That's the best part about what we do. Everything we do, you can buy once you have the core in there, you can build on it later. You know, you don't have the money this year to finish it out. You've already got the core in there. You know, you add an amp, you add some speakers. Maybe next year, you know, a couple years later, they say, hey, we need, you know, Zoom rooms in here. Toss up a camera and some mics and you're good to go. I don't know if anybody has seen that AMC's wants to do Zoom rooms for all of their theaters. It's with us. So they rent their spaces out for meetings all the time. That's where they make their money back, because in cinema, they make nothing off the movie. It's all about the concessions and things like that. You know, the whole integration with what we're doing in exhibition for esports. I know the conversation for a lot of universities is, why do we do esports? It's not, you know, there's no reason for it, which makes no sense to me, because it's literally creating a basketball industry or a football industry. It's not just the athletes, it's the shoutcasters, it's the tech people, it's the you know, the color commentary, like it's, you know, the stadium, it's all of that work and flexibility. And, you know, to do that, you need what we do, what Crestron does, what Extron does. You need that capability to flex all of those things. What NDI does, you know, Bird Dog, and like you like all of those pieces that you guys touch in the university level is everything, right? So you need something that is hardware, software agnostic to be able to play with all of it. Everybody's going to have their own flavor of thing, like QLAN. These things are going to work together only, but if you can't integrate it with an existing system, you're going to paint yourself into a corner, basically. And we painted ourselves into a corner when I was in education multiple times, and I wish I had somebody I could call and be like, hey, does this thing even work? You know, I'm like, oh, okay, go talk to this guy. That's perfect. You know, go talk to Planar or LG, or go talk to Meyer or, you know, QSC. Like just having that is invaluable. That's what I do for you guys, because like I said, I'm a biz dev, but I'm a tech biz dev. So when you say, hey, does this work? I'm like, yeah, it can work. And I think we all live in the world of MacGyver. So things often work when they shouldn't work because we've made them work. But when we get those budgets, we definitely want to make it smoother and cleaner and better and streamlined. If I had an opportunity to start from scratch, yeah, I'd build it a certain way. But like you said, you've got a 30-foot dome that you like, yeah, what's in there? I have no idea.
He said, "Yeah, come by and look at it this weekend." Okay.
Probably got basis in it, is my guess.
It's a faculty, one of faculty member projects that I'm sure we've all experienced, right? That maybe you didn't know anything about, that all of a sudden showed up, and maybe they need help with it, maybe they don't. And but yeah, apparently the program's expanding, and they need to move and be able to test things. And anyway,
most of you guys are connected to a network that you may not even know about. As a network called Arno, ARNO. They're on multiple campuses. The project recently got stopped because of the head of it was in UCSD. But basically what it is, and it's an awesome thought process, is that it uses a combination of Unity or Unreal. So you can look at your racks and equipment in your racks to within like a foot of it, of what it actually is. So it's a combination of that with Google Maps and CAD drawings on top of it. So you can literally zoom into one of your classrooms and go, hey, this piece of equipment is not working. We need to send somebody out to go push this one button. Those types of projects happen all the time because it's a research facility, right? Universities, that's what they are. So I think that's kind of cool with the system. I'm still seeing some old basis stuff, which is pre Q-SYS. They still exist in the world. I still see Kubernetes. I still see Laserdisc. SVHS, like it's all out there. I think the bigger film schools are starting to kind of back away from that because they can do so much in a online and then pipe it in from a machine room instead of having it in every room, right? That's a huge thing. And as much as I am as a Trojan and coming from that film school, I have to say, and I'll say this publicly, ASU's film school is blowing it away. That building is awesome, so yeah. I just wish it had more QSC in it. But other than that, I mean,
it has QSC in there. What are you talking about?
It has some. I just wish it had a couple more pieces. But it's
I need
Meyer.
to get you over to the popular music school too, because they had some QSC questions.
Yeah.
About 96 in there.
Yeah. I get that a lot. I got that from Craig a lot. I got that from a couple other people a lot, and I still get it. But I mean, like I said, if you can afford Meyer, by all means.
Yeah.
But if you can't afford Meyer, my phone should be ringing off the hook, man. Right, Troy? Come on now.
Hey, well, we're Central IT. We don't have film school money.
Yeah.
We are doing some direct view stuff though that maybe we'll talk to you about.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, we'll talk to David about.
I love working with you guys. I love working in the education world because you guys deal with everything. Like there's so much stuff. You're like, oh, well, we got this one little thing. You guys have a solution? Like, well, we got this much of a solution. We got 80% of that solution. You got to talk to somebody else for the rest. But those experimental spaces are the best, you know. My favorite is that, like I said, that VR space that I started working with these guys. They were like, hey, you know, we want to do this thing where people in VR can talk to people in the real world back and forth real time. What can we use? And I was like, oh, well, you can use an NV32 and a microphone and our camera, and oh, and then you can send it down the hallway too if you put another NV at the other end of the hallway, you know. So it was an interesting project, and it was a little tiny thing, a little lab, you know.
Yeah, we're
Oh.
we're working on something similar to that now, kind of doing like a little sandbox space for XR for, you know, faculty and students to, you know, kind of get their hands on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, this group that I work with, that's what they do. They work with universities to help them understand that space. I think the fact that you are central IT with AV thought process probably saves you guys, your school, more than anything else. I have a university that brought some cores online and put their AV VLAN has Dante, QLAN, computer control, Extron, and it is over 15, I want to say only 1,500 items, but I swear he said 15,000. And is wondering why they're having problems with microphones dropping on and off and things. Then I tried to explain that multicast traffic is not just data. It's not just a computer, you know. So yeah, that's the biggest problem I seem to be running into between AV and the IT side of things.
yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, AV over IP, anything over IP. Yeah, it's been a nightmare working with networking at my previous institution, and it's much better here so far, but I haven't been here that long yet, so we'll see.
Yeah.
That is, I don't want to stop our conversation, and this room will stay open, but you know, that's time, you know, and we've got the HETMA Proof showcase is starting back in the main lobby if people want to go over there. But like I said, this lobby should stay open until everybody leaves it. I think, because it didn't close automatically at 12:30 like I thought it might. So
I thought it was too.
But yeah, so if you know, if you guys want to continue the conversation, we can do that, or you know, I can close the room now, or whatever.
Yeah, if anybody has any other questions, I'll be here, and then I can log out. You know, it's all good. I'll be back down there, Sean. I'll be back down there soon. I was supposed to come out there in April, but I've got a plan prep for CinemaCon.
That's fine. I think our projectors are set to show up in May, so you know.
Okay.
That was our last update.
Which projectors are you guys using?
They're Christie's.
Yeah.
No, it's DLP. Everything's, you know, everything.
Yeah, it's
everything
either Christie or Barco or Cineonic, I guess.
Yeah, and they're all using the same DLP chip. They're all suffering the same.
Are you laser or xenons on those rooms?
I think those are lasers. I can't remember.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's tricky with those things. I mean, it's like with all your summer installs, right? All the people who put their orders in November and December, January, get their gear. Everyone who waits until, you know, now and March, they start struggling, you know.
Oh yeah.
So
well, I mean, these were ordered like, you know, way last
years ago,
probably last March, right? Or whenever.
Yeah. No, I got a couple of those I'm run into, and you could still play movies, you know, and the audio would be fine, you know, but
well,
but it's Adobe thing.
It's delaying the whole program a little bit because it's tied to color grading and Dolby Vision, because we're doing Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos and trying to rent the spaces. And anyway, we'll get there. But it's just it's depressing to go in there and hear people say how good the audio is and know that we're only like at like 5% of what we're supposed to
Yeah.
be at, right? It's
Yeah.
like, no, it doesn't sound good. But
Yeah. It's a beautiful
yeah,
building
it
though.
sounds good. Yeah, oh, it is. It is. It's amazing.
I took some pictures while I was there. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. We're
You
we're
know?
doing sound out. So this is like, I'm showing the courtyard with our big deck wall, but we're extending surround out into this courtyard area too. We got those speakers out there through with QSC, I think, and
Yeah.
should be interesting.
I love doing spaces like that, like making surround in places you're not supposed to have it.
Mhm.
Those are fun. Those are fun. So yeah.
Yeah, in spaces that shouldn't even exist, like the ice skating rink that's on the space right in Arizona, and we're putting surround sound on the outdoor courtyard area, with the ice skating rink, and
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah. It's all good. It'll be great. Be great. Awesome. It's awesome.
Let's talk to you.
All right,
Thank you,
Sean.
Mike.
Cool. Anybody else? Questions? Nothing? You good? All right. Well, I guess we can close it down. Randy, where are you from?
I'm in California with Panasonic.
Oh, okay.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So, okay. Yeah,
Good
'cause I was
talk.
like,
I really
I've
enjoyed it.
seen, I know that name, but I was like, I don't know that name.
I've been around. We had several rooms at a university last year, maybe 2 years now, that we worked with Q-SYS on, and getting all that together, and then getting our products certified with Q-SYS.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been cool. I've been connecting a lot with. Well, I've had a relationship on the cinema side of things with like NEC and now LG, and then now that I've drifted into education, more planar, Panasonic, like Canon, so
Right.
so it's definitely people don't realize when they say DCI how much of a pain it is.
Yeah, you don't know what you're getting into. Be careful what you wish for.
Uh-huh.
But when it
Yeah.
works, it's great.
When it works, it's gorgeous.
Oh my gosh.
It's gorgeous. And the only thing really from a screen side of things and from a projection side of things is as long as it can be calibrated to a standard every single time, DCI doesn't care. They just need it to be that standard every time they go in to check it.
Right.
And for it to hold. I think that's what held up Sony's for a while, was because it's so many panels on their wall that they needed a way to get it to lock and then to be able to make that lock stay. And I think that was their big problem. But it looks like they got that one fixed, and I think LG got theirs fixed. So,
Very nice.
All right. Well,
Good deal.
have a
Thank you
good
again,
day.
Garrett. It really was a good talk. I appreciated it.
No worries. Anytime. Bye.